The American Library Association has seen an uptick of reported attempts at book bans and censorship. A record-breaking 2,571 titles in 2022 to a record-shattering 4,240 titles in 2023. Of the challenged titles, 47% featured communities such as trans and BIPOC people. As educators, researchers, information creators, we know information is a powerful tool, and as such, many information workers are interested in figuring out how to stop restrictive access to information. My research asks, what happens when we look at book bans through censorship and an abolitionist lens? Abolition asks us to look at forms of carceral logic. That is that for carcerality to exist, it doesn't have to happen in formal carceral justice systems. Abolition, when we look at book bans through abolition, we understand that book bans and censorship, to be successfully employed, rely on a carceral logic. A carceral logic that enacts some type of punitive behavior for obtaining, sharing, and making accessible specific types of information. With this lens, we can also begin to understand how censorship is enacted through the threat of job loss, potential felony charges, and other punitive actions. For example, the Stop Woke Act, made into law in Florida in 2022, introduced a series of 8 concepts that determined how to implement educational content around depression. The Stop Woke Act created a sense of panic amongst educators, librarians, and information workers due to the subjectivity of the act. There was an unclear understanding of whether the act could be enforced or how it would be enforced. To avoid possible felony charges, school districts instructed educators to hide books. Currently, there are no formal convictions. However, a new pattern is emerging that the American Library Association refers to as soft censorship. It's an effort to avoid criminalization, where libraries and schools have begun to engage in actions that do not promote titles. While the data on book bans from 2024 is still being collected, preliminary numbers suggest that fewer attempts are happening than in recent past, but the numbers are still exponentially high. And it is likely that this soft censorship phenomenon could be a reason why we can understand that we are not seeing so many formally challenged titles. The first step to stopping censorship is to understand that censorship requires a type of criminalization, whether it uses formal or informal policing techniques to be upheld and maintained. Thank you.